Hey everybody, welcome to another Pro SC2 cast done by yours truly, Mathis StarCraft. This is going to be a 1v1 on Antigua shipyards between Convergence Gaming's GETSLAMT at cvgGETSLAMT. He's going to be our yellow Zerg here in the bottom left. In our top left, we're going to have RGNperfect, the Protoss. These guys are going to be, I believe this was for the Playhem Daily. I wasn't told in the email, so I am just going to be casting this. He's saying major, made us wait so long. Perfect saying it wasn't major, and was some dumbass diamond who didn't report. So obviously for some sort of tournament, I believe it's for the Playhem Daily. I will have to double check on that. But I'm excited. I love this map. This map's definitely one of my more favorite maps to personally play on as a Zerg player in particular, just because of how big it is. The expansion options are numerous, and it just allows you to do a lot of fun things with your play style. So I'll be curious to see what we are going to be seeing from these two players. I wouldn't be surprised to see GETSLAMT grab an early pool first, just to make sure that the Protoss can't drop down a cannon rush or a pylon block. Even if he does drop down that pylon, it won't last long, as the Zerglings would come out first if he does decide to drop an early pool. It does look like he's going to be dropping a 12 pool, so like I said, that's going to be to use to grab very early Zerglings, prevent that probe from doing much blocking of the expansion in general. And looks like that Perfect is going to see that. And we'll see what he decides to do because of that, but with those Zerglings out early, he's not going to be able to do much. The pylon block will be minimal at best. And we'll see what Perfect's up to in the top, and it looks like he's going to be doing a very typical, not looking for an early expo, not going to be doing a Fast Forge Expander or Nexus first, just going to be doing your typical Gateway first, walling off against the Zerg, always smart. You don't want those early Zerglings, and actually this might be a direct reaction to seeing that early pool. With that early pool up, he does not want to see any early lings try to run on by that little hole in the wall that's going to be there inevitably when he drops his Cybernetics core. And again, he just might not want any early economic damage with that, so we'll see what he decides to do after that. Is he going to be doing some sort of 3-gate robo build, or we're going to be looking into an expand after 1 gate, or we're going to see a 4-gate? All up in the air, and of course with this early game, you can't really tell what they're going to do for a little while. It's ever so standard. Everybody plays very standard, and that's what makes the early game relatively boring, unless you see some sort of crazy cheese. It does look like we have a pylon block going down here, actually for Perfect, and here are the Zerglings just popping now, and are going to be able to do that. Get rid of that. As you can see, it's not going to last long with the Zerglings. 2 Zerglings chasing the probes, actually pulling all 4 Zerglings, knowing he's going to cancel that, pulling them back anyway, and he's going to be dropping that hatchery with about yeah, he was set back about 100 or 200 minerals there, so actually that pylon block did do a decent amount of damage. He decided not to go for grabbing any early gas. The gas is going to be coming after that expansion, and the reason for that is he doesn't need the speedling right away. What he wants is to get that early economic advantage over his Protoss opponent, and by delaying gas and delaying that speed, it allowed him to grab that hatchery the minute that the pylon was gone. If you decide to go get that gas and grab that speedling, that's like, think about it, that's another 125 minerals that you need to dedicate to getting that gas up and grabbing the speedling upgrade on top of sacking a drone for that gas building and needing to replace that. So when you do the gas first build before the hatchery, you are delaying your expansion for quite a while. Second Queen is up, going to be moving on down. He is building a spine crawler just for defense, but this will be moved down to the hatchery once the hatchery is popped and the creep is around. The Queen moving her way down after dropping that creep tumor. No need for that energy right away, as the hatchery isn't even up, and the energy will be up once the hatchery is ready to go. And getting that spine crawler down a little early, just so, because it does have that long walk to go, and since it is relatively slow off creep, it needs to get down right away. I do like how we see GETSLAMT spreading his Zerglings about and just grabbing some very early map control. Perfect is going to be dropping that expansion. As you can see, the sentries are out, meaning he was saving the minerals and spending the gas just to get that Nexus out. After this, we may be seeing, will inevitably be seeing some gateways dropping as reinforcements. So 1 gate expand, very common build for the Protoss, especially on a bigger map against a Zerg. And once a Zerg sees that, we'll be curious to see how he decides to respond. There goes 1 gateway. Let's see how many gateways he decides to drop, or if he's going to wait for the Nexus to finish up, dropping some more pylons smartly. Now what we could see after the Nexus is we could see a 3-gate robo, very useful, especially against a Zerg, getting those robotics bay out, especially if they decided to go very heavy roach build, getting those Immortals out, or getting some Colossus out if you want to do a Colossus rush. Even Stargate, you can see a 2-gate Stargate build with 3 Void Rays after the expansion. That is also a very common build. The Void Rays are very potent against the Zerg player, but it does look like we have 3 gateways going down, potentially a 3-gate robo build. Or we could be seeing a 4-gate. So, 4-gate. Sorry, I'm just kind of listing off the possibilities. that you could potentially see. I should probably have taken a look at the gas, actually a heavy gas build. So all those very viable options. And Gateway is up and running. So we'll be seeing these guys turn into gateways or warp gates rather, very shortly. And now we have the main transferring of the probes, and it looks like the response that Slampt is going to do is grab an expansion instead of attempting to punish him. Smart move, only because the sentry count is going to be relatively high with all these sentries coming out. He already has, what, that's 4 now. Take a look at the unit count. We do have 7, 7 sentries on the way. It does look like he's making a push with those 7 sentries. Those 7 sentries will pretty much stop him if say, Slampt decided to do a big old push with roaches and lings. All those sentries and those force fields would pretty much just prevent him from doing any sort of damage, or at least delay long enough where he can get some units out with all those force fields. So smart move to just expand behind all of that. We are dropping some reinforcement pylons and getting ready for the big push. Zerglings are swinging out. They are going to catch this probe off guard, but the probe's already done its duty. He was just getting some scouting information, and now he's going to have to dance around just a bit with these Zerglings, and let's see what he decides to do. He's going to swing up here. He's going to see both pylons. He's going to grab one of them at the very least and poke on back. It looks like Perfect was looking for the expansion. Did get canceled, in fact, and he's going to get a free sentry there. That is key to get that free sentry. Now we'll decide to see what he decides to do with these Zerglings. Is he going to try a counterattack? He's going to have to pull back here. Does not want to engage this force with the force fields. Easily lock them into the Zealot's range. So he is going to look like he's going to go for a counterattack, but bouncing on back, swinging back to the watchtower. So feigning a counterattack, forcing Slampt to pull back all of his units and heading on back home, as he does have roaches on the way now. Creep tumors being spread, so quickly rearing the map control and quickly defending. He's going to have to drop that 3rd again, so the 3rd is going to be a little bit behind because of that push. Smart move by Rain, really delaying that 3rd. Knows that pretty much that Slampt is going to be doing one of two things. Going to go high aggression or head macro mode. Decided to throw his bet onto the macro mode and prevented that 3rd from going down. So you can see that actually paid off quite well for Perfect, forcing the cancel, and now that 3rd is going to be quite delayed. But we do have a big army, basically forcing Slampt into going into a very aggressive mode. Had to cancel, like I said, that hatchery, using those minerals and those gas to get a heavy army, and moving on out now to try and do some damage. It does look like Perfect is actually trying to take a 3rd here. The problem with that is that his probe count isn't quite high enough to support a 3rd base right now, and as you can see, Slampt is just taking down these rocks. He's getting ready to move in there, even if he doesn't know that he has a 3rd, which I don't even think he does know. Let's take a peek at his vision. He has no idea. He's just assuming, or at least opening up a 3rd attack way to move on in there and to get some do some damage. So he's gonna move up here. He's gonna see that there is a 3rd going down. Oh, look at that! A hallucinated Colossus. I like that. And what this is going to see, this is not out of the ordinary to see. You would think that if he didn't do any scouting, which it looks like he may not have much scouting information, well, he's going to see that there's a Robo Bay, but he does not see... I apologize, let me go into his vision. He's going to see there's a Robo Bay, did not see a robotics bay anywhere. I should say Robo facility, but did not see a robotics bay anywhere. And since he didn't see a robotics bay, he is not 100% sure if he's possible producing Colossus. The build is common, and seeing Colossus would not be out of the ordinary with this particular timing, so I like that. And what that's actually forced, as you can see, is forced Slampt to build a spire and prepare for that. So now he's going to be pushing with a bunch of roaches, going to pull back. Does not want to get force fielded, assuming the Colossus is somewhere on the high ground, would easily start destroying all of those roaches, and right now this army is very precious for a Colossus. So as you can see, the mind game's being played quite nice, and it looks like Perfect is getting ready to do a big old push, grabbing that the observer to drop in the army, going to kill off the creep tumors as he decides to push. I do like the placement of this pylon with his observer or any hallucinated phoenix. He could easily see the high ground, warp in right behind the steam without him knowing, and move on up to do some massive damage in the base, potentially doing a 2-pronged attack, moving in the front door with this main army, and then moving in the back with a few maybe warped in zealots just to do some economic damage up top in the main. So we'll see what side Perfect decides to do. He is going to get a good old scout, see what's going down, and now his 3rd is going to start paying off. He does have the probe count now. If he was able to delay this, if Slampt was able to delay that 3rd will probably potentially just be a good old chunk, a big old waste of money. As you see, the Corruptors are going down now, still assuming that there are Colossus on the field. So these Corruptors, smart, but if there were Colossus on the field, then I believe Perfect probably would have pushed by now and done at least some damage, pushing back the creep tumors. And here we go. Looks like he's hallucinated 2 Colossus, smart, and even an Archon. So really just kind of doing the mind games here, and gonna be forcing Slampt into a very defensive posture. does not want to engage this directly. It looks like he's going for a flank, potentially even a counterattack. He does have the 0-1 upgrades on his roaches. We do have no upgrades here on Perfect units whatsoever. Looks like he is going to lose this third here. Is there anything he can do about it? He is going to be pulling back his roach and his ling, and he's going to be going for those the phoenix, which is a hallucination, and he's going to realize right there that all of that was just a hallucination, and he's probably smacking himself in the face. But if you take a look at the production tab, we do have Hive Tech on the way, so looking to turn those Corruptors into something useful like Brood Lords. Smart move by GETSLAMT. Perfect now did take out that third. Is going to have to back out as he is now getting pressured, as GETSLAMT is saying, wow, those are all pretty much just fake. Now I can at least do some damage and force him back, but he did lose that third. Let's take a look at the workers killed. 13 workers killed, so things not looking too good on GETSLAMT's end right now. But as far as the food count is concerned, he is far ahead, and he's going to catch this army out of position. He's on regular move. A lot of free damage was done by GETSLAMT there to Perfect, and now Perfect is pretty much in crisis management mode. It looks like he's losing pretty much his entire army. He needs to get the hell out of there. And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to, losing all of his units, all of his stalkers, and his sentries all on regular move. That's not good. If you're going to go down, at least do some damage and not let the enemy get free hits on you. So now, as you take a look at the food count, 161 to 102. GETSLAMT is now in a very good position, grabbing his third. Could potentially even grab a fourth if he felt like it, maybe grabbing this gold, as his defenses are good enough for that, and his army is big enough. He's going to be moving on in here to do some damage, and a good force field by Perfect, needing to hold off that army as long as possible so his reinforcements can get thrown in. Looks like he's going to be popping those Zerglings up there, trying to do a little bit of damage, checking for a hole. There is no hole. There's just a little bit of poking damage here on Perfect's pylon, and he's moving on back here, maybe potentially thinking about grabbing a fourth or a gold, but still, GETSLAMT is now light years ahead in the food count and in the army, and the upgrades, I believe his upgrades are 1-1 now. That is correct. They are 1-1. Perfect's upgrade are 0-1, so still looking a little bit in favor of GETSLAMT, and now I'm curious to see what he's going to decide to do. It looks like that he does have the Greater Spire in production, so definitely looking to get these Corruptors into Brood Lords, potentially just waiting for the Brood Lord count to get up there before he makes a push. Sit back and just jump into macro mode. Has re-macroed up most of his drones, though Perfect is still a little bit ahead in the probe count. That's not going to be too much as the damage has been done. And now the gold is going up for GETSLAMT, so knows that he has the advantage, and just pressing that advantage a little bit further. Especially against a Protoss, you definitely don't want to be on even bases. Even though you may be ahead, they can quickly catch up with the right amount of gateways and the right amount of minerals, and that is exactly what you would see against a 3-base Protoss. We do have a cannon going down just to prevent any Zergling run-bys, or at least delay them as long as possible, even creating a nice small choke to kind of filter them through and make them easy kills for whatever defenses Perfect has over here. And now we have a huge army of Roaches, Lings, and those Brood Lords will be popping up very shortly. This Hallucinating Phoenix is going to see them, knows that they're coming, and I'll be curious what his reaction is going to be for those Brood Lords. Honestly, Blink Stalkers will be the best. Maybe just make some more Stalkers, throw those Stalkers in there. We have Adrenal Glands going down for the Zerglings, so Cracklings are going to be on the way. Those things are so nasty and so dangerous in the late game, especially with a good mix of units like he has. Roaches and Brood Lords on the way. So I'm curious to see how long. He does feel like this may be panic mode. Needs to push and do some damage. He has pretty much caught up in the food count just a bit, forcing the cancel on the gold. Smart move by Perfect. And now if he does do a push while the Brood Lords are still back here, nope, he's going to pull on back. I would have liked to see the push come a little bit early while the Brood Lords are still a little bit morphing in. Maybe just a little bit caught off guard. Blink in, just pick them off. But now we're going to see GETSLAMT is going to get a good little concave on this army, and it looks like Perfect is going to have to pull on back, dropping off force fields, but the hole in the force fields are just still there, and now he is... He did lose that pylon while he was warping in reinforcements, and now he's going to have to do some damage. Focusing down all of those Immortals and just getting a nice surround. Looks like though Perfect is going to be able to hold this off potentially with all of his Immortals. He does have, what, 5 Immortals in that army? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He did have 6. He did lose 2 now, so actually GETSLAMT is getting a nice little push against this army, and now he's going to have to kind of pull back, as he did get pulled back to the pylons. Have a bunch of Stalkers warp in. He's going to pick up that Overseer. And now with all these Stalkers, I would wait just a little bit longer here, Perfect, for a few more Stalker push, a little bit more of a Stalker wave to get these guys. But no, he's going to blink in right into those Brood Lords. But the problem is he has so many Zerglings and so many Roaches that these Stalkers are not going to last. As you can see, they're just getting destroyed over here. Roaches easily picking them off. And did he lose any? He did lose 2 Brood Lords in that fight, but that's nothing compared to what Perfect is losing in this fight. He is losing everything, and not sure what he's going to be able to do here if anything at all. He's just going to have to just throw his units at them. And here's Perfect saying, I'm too sick, not feel well enough to play. So not feeling good, unfortunately. He's just too sick to play. But still a great game. On a few poor decisions made by Perfect. Maybe it just pushed a little too early, or blinking into those Broodlords might have been a little bit of a desperation move. Just wasn't thought all the way through. But great games by both. The winner going to Convergence Gaming's Get Slammed. Thanks guys for watching. Feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next cast.